This is a quick demo of the beta version of HuViz on what date? It is the date Friday, January 22nd of 2001, just as an indication of the version. Okay, so the way to start HuViz is you find yourself on the intro screen, you go to the Commands tab, then you pick a data set. So there are various data sets that are already loaded, that are in the menu system, rather. A good example, quite an approachable one, is the friend of a friend ontology. I choose that one because it is quite broadly known. It's perhaps one of the most broadly known. So then we click load. Okay, so when you pick a data set, then it will automatically pick an ontology that is suitable for that data set. Most of the data sets specify an ontology that they should be used in the context of, but when one tries to visualize an ontology itself, then a thing called the OWL mini ontology will be employed to populate the various class and predicate picker menus. Okay, so let's click load. And so we see now that friend of a friend is displayed as the data set, and OWL mini is indicated as the ontology. We can actually click on those. I'm going to middle click to pull up those windows. And what actually happens there when you do that is that it pulls up the raw ontologies themselves in separate windows. So you can see, oh my goodness, there's the hideous detail. Those are in turtle format. Okay, so now the idea here is, so one can just drag nodes into the graph. When one does that, that's the equivalent of activating a node. So the node that we just dragged in there was the agent node. And notice now that in this sets picker over here, the number of activated nodes is 1, and which node? That's the activated. The agent node is activated. Notice that there's a very thin, dark line around the agent node, indicative of the fact that it is the activated node in this case. Multiple nodes can be activated. Let's drag in another node. Let's drag in this one and drop. Oh my goodness, that's a node representing the friend of a friend ontology itself. Oh God, it's escaping. Let's go to settings and let's turn up the gravity a little bit to help it to stay in the graph. Let's go back to commands and let's deactivate all the nodes and just get back to a simple plain Jane circumstance. Another thing that we can do is we can select I clicked on select and engage the select verb, and then clicked on the class under the class picker, and notice that all of the class instances are a little bit darker now. They're using a more saturated color. And that is indicative of them being members of the selected set. Notice that the selected count has now gone from 0 up to 15. There are 15, oh, look at that, no coincidence. There are 15 classes, and only the classes are in the selected set. Okay, so now let's disengage the select verb, and let's do something with those classes, with those selected nodes. Let's label them. We just click label, and now those selected nodes are labeled. Let's click activate and see what happens. Well, okay, so let's take a look up here. Notice that in this current command panel, it says verb, the selected set. Okay, so commands in English are a verb phrase followed by an object phrase. So right now, the verb phrase part hasn't been specified, but the object phrase part has been specified. So the selected set is the default object phrase. So all it's waiting right now for a verb, any verb, to complete this command. So right now, all we have to do is click any of these verbs, and that thing will happen to the object, to the, in this case, the selected set. Let's activate the selected set. So what did that do? That caused all the classes to be graphed, to be put into the graph. What does activate mean? When I hover over activate, it says put nodes in the graph and pull other connected nodes in too, so long as they haven't been discarded. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that the activated nodes pull into the graph their nearest neighbors that are connected by these various edges. This is interesting. Let's take a look at this edges of the selected nodes picker over here. What this shows is the names, comment, disjoint with, domain, of the edges of these edges that connect the selected nodes, which are all these classes here, with these other nodes that got pulled into the graph. So look at this. We can actually turn off the display of various edges by clicking on the names of edges here in the predicate picker, or we call this the predicate picker sometimes, or the edges of the selected nodes. So look at this. Let's turn off the comments. So we've just ungraphed 13 comment nodes. Let's turn off the term status, whatever that is. Let's turn off, look at this. We can turn off various kinds of edges. And what we're left with is just the domain and range. So in other words, these nodes are connected together by either the range edge or the domain edge. And if you remember from math and ontological thinking, domain and range are generally obverses of one another. I'm not sure. So in this ontology, FOF, friend of a friend, it is apparently the case that they didn't bother to specify the of both directions of such relations. Okay, so where are we here? So, right. There's a quick demo. Oh yes, and if you want to reload this data set, look at this. You can click on, well, look at this. You can click on this button to share a way to reload this data. So there's there's a URL that you can use. You can, if you click this button, that clears the whole screen and takes you back to an empty, unloaded screen. If you click this button, reload this data, what that does is the following. Oh, I just lost Sam. That takes you, that rejuvenates this data set and shows you just the, it takes you back to the beginning. By the way, if you use the history button, if you check the history, then, well, sorry, I'll stop talking now.